Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Chop, where Shana and I are interviewing all the candidates for City Council for HireHarlem. So, Shana?
I'm Shana Harmongoff. Thank you so much, co-host Jordan, as we chop it up with these District 9 City Council candidates. We have with us today District Leader William Allen. Excuse me, William. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good to be with you guys.
Thank you so much for joining the show. So we wanted to start out by just asking you about your story. We know you're from Harlem. We know you've been here for many years working on a number of important issues from youth programming to affordable housing. So we just want to hear your story and hear who you are and let our audience know.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Harlem. Been here for a lifetime, forever. And when you're a child, you have ideas of who you want to be and the things that you want to accomplish. And I got to tell you, sometimes God has a way of reminding you that your destiny is not just your own creation, that your angels and your ancestors have a big role in playing what your direction is. And so I constantly find myself in their work. With the tragedies I've had in my family, with the murder of my brother and the murder of my two first cousins, drug addiction in my family, the incarceration in my family, the wealth in my family. It's been like a mixture of everything. And I think that has really shaped me and who I am and the things I want to do in my life.
That is so powerful, everything that you said in your story. And I want to know from you now, William, how does your story relate to your platform?
Well, my story relates to my platform. My platform covers criminal justice, economics, health, education, seniors, environment, housing, civic, and education. And those are all the things I've been involved with my entire career. And so when someone runs, most people run, they try to come up with a platform. Mm-hmm. For those of us who are here today, like us, we've been living this already. I just took a leave from a job as National Crisis Director of National Action Network. And I got to talk to largely Black folk all around the country. And they are my platform. They told me their stories and their challenges and the help that they need. And so my platform really is shaped by them. And so it was very organic. I didn't have to do a whole lot of research to figure out what kind of help that people needed. And this is all on my website. My website has every inch of my platform, but it really speaks to my interests and the interests or the things that I think are needed to rise the people of Harlem up. And don't let them be forgotten too.
They are my platform. That's a powerful line for sure. Yeah. So what are some of the biggest issues facing Harlemites today?
Gentrification, economic equity. I know some people might talk about the police, but everything leads right back to economics. When a community wealth is under attack, everything else attacks it. When you look at Harlem, you look at the number of Black-owned businesses. You look at home ownership in our community. You look at affordable housing. Everything ties to economics. And with the cost of housing these days, no one will be able to afford to stay here in Harlem, let alone Manhattan. And so for me, that's a huge, huge issue when people don't feel secure in their place. And when they don't feel secure in their place, it's hard for them to get involved in civic activities because maybe they have to take 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and that means they're away from their home, they're away from the community. And by the time they come home, they're exhausted and they can't participate. And so economics to me is pivotal in all these issues. It ties to education, it ties to healthcare, it ties to just having a peace of mind.
That's so powerful what you said. And that was actually going to be my next question, because you talked about economics and you talked about one of the biggest issues is gentrification. And my next question to you is that Harlem is experiencing lots of gentrification, which has led to some longtime businesses closing, displacement, and some racial animosity. What would be your role to help solve these issues, particularly on race issues?
Well, one of the things I learned at National Action Network is that how do you get folks involved in these challenges? Every Friday morning, I help to run a national discussion on crisis, particularly in the Black community, through the National Action Network, and get to talk to maybe about 70 people, Black folks around the country, and we're able to talk about key challenges that's facing our community. And I think it's through these kind of discussions that we're going to find the solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Because discussions have to be solution based. We got to be able to say, okay, here's the problem. Now let's come up with what the solutions are. Is it public policy? Is the way that we're engaged? Is the way that we choose to be accountable? Is it a way to be better in touch with our elected officials? I mean, one of the things that I've been doing the last couple of years is showing people how to access their elected officials at National Action. The first step, when people come to me with a crisis, I say to them, do they need a lawyer? If not a lawyer, do they need a subject matter expert, right? And then we move from that to, do you know your elected officials? Do you know your federal, your state, your municipal? Because if your problem is a municipal problem, have you met with your city council person? If your problem is a state problem, have you met with your state senator or your state rep? And if it's federal, have you met with your congressional reps? And you got 3 of those. And so it's really almost like me being like the political educator of showing people how to access these resources, how to access their power so they can be their own solution. A lot of time people don't know what elected officials do. People have a pothole on their block and they want to talk to their congressman. People with a social security problem want to talk to their city council person. People with other issues are going to the wrong people with solutions. So I think there is a huge need for political education in our community so folks know how to access these resources. And that's what I want to do.
You got to educate, because I know a lot of times people come to our office with a city issue when we're state. So you just got to educate people so they can know what elected official to reach out to.
That's definitely how we empower our people. So I love to hear that. So we were talking about some of the major issues facing Harlemites today, and you mentioned economics, and economics is obviously highly tied to housing and the cost of rent. And so just wondering if you have a plan and what your plan is to ensure there's affordable housing and to also ensure that Harlemites, long-term Harlemites, are able to stay in their housing given increases in rent.
Okay, well, first of all, we got to fix NYCHA first. No matter what we do, we got to fix our public housing stock. And we got to make sure that the repairs are met and that we build some kind of, we got to build the hope back in the folks that live in the city, and particularly in public housing. And I know that often sometimes public housing is overlooked because many of those of us in politics don't feel that public housing residents vote. And it's unfortunate because when people don't exercise their power, they really don't get help. And often in our society, we make assumptions that people just help automatically. Unfortunately, in a capitalist society, it doesn't work that way. You either got to exercise your vote, organize yourself in a group and a block, and then speak out consistently. And I truly believe if NYCHA residents would really organize around its power, those repairs would get done. And so I really want to really focus on their civic engagement. So their issues not only can be repaired, but how they choose to be civically involved can be repaired too. The creation of public housing came out of a movement, and if folks knew that movement, then their reaction to things would be differently. Secondly, New York had to say to itself, who do they want to live here? I mean, is risk stabilization important? Does the city want to have a whole mixture of income groups and opportunities? I mean, we got to define again what is to be a New Yorker. And so if we are New Yorkers, the key piece to being that is our housing. And if our housing is not stabilized, then we're going to leave. And we're all, three of us are African Americans. And we know that there's now been a mass migration of African Americans heading towards the South, largely because of the cost of housing. And that means that we're losing neighborhood leaders, folks that have been traditionally engaged in finding solutions. We're losing like a lot of good people that help to create community and neighborhood leadership. And so the city, this next city council and next mayor truly got to address the issue of what it is to be a New Yorker, and stop just running around all over the place, but really begin to have a real discussion on who we are and who we want to be, and making sure that this city belongs to all of us. And so with my housing platform, which is on my website, I look at a whole bunch of models. Most of my career has been in housing development and community development. Back in the early 90s, I was fortunate to be the senior advisor to the founder of Harlem Churches for Community Improvement. And they had the largest housing budget in the community, $200 million that came through David Dinkins. And so that was a political relationship, and it worked, you know. And when David Dinkins lost, that budget was cut by 53% by Rudolph Giuliani. And so we got to understand how the economics and the politics go hand in hand. We cannot go to Senator Brian Bench, hey, give us this, give us that, if we don't have the political power to get that done. We cannot make an assumption he can get something done if we're weak. You know, our politicians are as strong as their own community. And that means not because we have great wealth, it's because we're well organized. And we're well organized, we win. Look at Georgia. Look at Georgia. Two new US senators, because they were organized, they won. And we need to bring that kind of spirit back to New York.
That is truly you're just saying, dropping some key nuggets here today, and with housing and just groups and organizations, and we have to be civically engaged and involved. And so that brings me to my next question, William, is what groups are you most excited to work for or with if you are chosen to be the next city council person?
I want to make sure that the community board that I'm honored to appoint becomes really the trustee of this community. I want to make sure that every member of the community board is responsible for a small portion of the map. So if there's 50 members, each of them should be responsible for 3 to 5 blocks. So therefore, each of those blocks have a liaison by which information flows. I like to see the board as a brain trust on policy issues. So therefore, if we have some challenging city or even state or federal issues, we should be able to bring them through the community board so a discussion can be used through that vehicle. The community board is probably the most significant institution for civic engagement and to explain to people how things will work. I think the community board should be the ones explaining ranked choice voting in the community, for example. I think the community board should have a continuous relationship with block associations and tenant groups and co-op boards and churches. Just imagine if the community saw the community board as our town council, our town hall, how information flows, that the website was robust, and that we had a digital screen on 125th Street, maybe on the State Building Plaza, that lists all the key meetings in the community, or information, or let people know here's the website, so that people then saw that in the community and say, oh wow, here's what's happening this week. Oh, that's the website I can get additional information from. It's about how we spread information. And so I want to make sure that the community board gets the resources, a better budget, to be more effective in civic engagement. I also want to work closely with the New York City Police Department with a focus on the community council. The community council is at every precinct, but it's not funded. It's not funded, so how are they doing outreach? And so I want to be able to look at that group to really strengthen how they do their work to inform the community, and making sure that there is a stronger relationship between police and community. And I think it wouldn't cost that much to create better dialogue. You know, and so most of the things I want to do, it will center around civic engagement. And of course, there's some other issues. of economic concern that people are concerned about. But if I can get the infrastructure pieces in place first, we can have some significant inroad. And by the way, 2 days ago, I was with some young people that's affiliated with the 2-8 precinct, and they're called the Explorers Club. And that's a pathway for brown and black kids to enter the police, law enforcement, or public service. And you'll be surprised how much that program is funded. Zero. So as a professor at John Jay College, every semester, I see few and few young black men and women in my classes. And I said, something's wrong here. I said, we're not even recruiting our folks to even go into public service and let alone law enforcement. So if you're going to affect a police agency or institution and you're trying to affect it from the outside, it's very difficult to do that. But if you can get some really good people into the department, so therefore our voices can really be heard and we can have a real impact, the policing in New York would be much different, much different.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I answered your question. I hope I wasn't too long.
No. Thank you. So we only have like 5 more minutes of your time, and
Whoa,
and there's a fun lightning round we want to get to. But before then, if appropriate, and we can cut this part out if not, because I didn't send this as a part of the questions. But I do think it's unique. You have, partnered with a mayoral candidate, and that's a quite unique, powerful thing. And just would love to hear you talk about that.
Yeah, it's interesting how that developed. It wasn't something I had originally sought. It just happened. I was so honored that Andrew Yang reached out to me and said that he's been following my career recently and a lot of people have been talking about me, and some of the issues that I was hitting on was resonating with him, particularly a basic income, universal basic income. And I truly believe that a economic platform will address most of the issues that's confronting people in Harlem, from housing to education to healthcare. And Andrew platform spoke to me and spoke to that. And I'm not surprised that Andrew has been #1 in the poll since November. By me reading up on him and talking to him, and then looking at the platforms of the other candidates, I knew his value. And I believe that as more people begin to study the platforms of the different candidates, they're going to see the difference as I saw it. And some people have come to me and say, William, don't you think it's time for an African-American mayor again? I said, yes, but it has to be with the right platform. They have to speak truth to power, and they have to address the issue of economics, because if not, it'll be what happened to David Dinkins. We'll serve for 1 term and then we're gone again, And so we can't get lost in our direction. And so I'm honored to have a relationship with him. No other mayor, no other candidate running for mayor has reached out to me as he did, saying that I want to endorse you and I want you to become a member of the city council. And when I'm mayor, I want you to be one of my key partners. The same people that complained to me about the relationship are now the people calling me up, asking me to be of some assistance to them. So New York City politics is so weird, but that's what's happening now. And I'm honored, that I can play that kind of role where a potential mayor of the city trust my advice, and my recommendations.
So that's wonderful. Before we get into the lightning round, I want to just let people know how can they get in contact with your campaign and join your campaign.
Thank you. My website is www.williamallen, which is ALLENNYC.org. You're also welcome to call me, 917-612-2871. People say, wow, you actually give out your telephone number? I said, yeah, I do. Yeah, I may not always pick it up. I encourage you probably to text first before you call, but you will certainly get a return communication from me immediately. And that's one of the things I'm known for. I'm known for good communication. And that's not going to change.
That is true. That is the truth.
Yeah, I don't hide. Even if I don't agree or I'm not comfortable, I'm not going to hide from you, because if I'm not ready to answer the question, I say, listen, I'm not ready. You just got to be honest with people. I say, listen, I'm still thinking about that. I don't have the information yet. And that's what people want. People just want you to be honest with them.
It's real. All right. The lightning round.
Yes, let's go.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right. First question to the district leader. Favorite soul food place in Harlem?
Melba's.
Chopped cheese or Philly cheesesteak?
Now you know chopped cheese.
Okay.
All right.
If I
Favorite
was in
statue.
Philly, I would say the other one. Because in Philly, if you say chopped cheese, they're like, what? Huh?
What?
What's that? All right.
What's
Favorite monument or statue in Harlem?
You know what? I was just at Esplanade Gardens, and I don't know if people know Dr. King's bust statue's there. And lately, it's become my favorite statue in Harlem. Dr. King has a statue at Esplanade Gardens on 147th Street between Powell and Malcolm X Boulevards. Please go check it out. That's my favorite right now.
Here's a fun one. Bodega with a cat or without a cat?
Do we still have bodegas? Yo, let me tell you, the corner store is not like it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, I remember the cats. I remember the smell. And it's a little different. In fact, our corner stores now are restaurants. A large part of their income comes from serving hot food. Did you know that? Or sandwiches.
Yeah.
All that other stuff is secondary, along with the cigarettes and other stuff that they sell. But I do miss the cat. And back when I was a little kid, they had little straw stuff on the floor. It was like kind of little chopped up straw.
Yeah, for them.
Yeah, on the floor. It's like, because people were coming with wet feet. So I guess they didn't want people to trip or something.
Oh.
So that's what I remember as a kid. And it was more than one cat. And they'd be up on top of the cans and everything.
Yeah.
All right. Which superpower would you have if you could choose a superpower?
Which, can you give me some examples?
Anyone you want.
If you want to be Superman, Spider-Man, what superpower? If you could have any fly, whatever.
Wow.
You know what? I'll guess for you, because as I've known William for a minute, I would give him a superpower of a wizard, because to me, William seems to be a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I met him about 4.5 years ago. He was my professor when I did a political course for women in politics. And to me, William seems like a wealth of knowledge. So if I had to guess, I know you're supposed to be answering this, but if I had to answer for him, I would give him a superpower of a wizard.
And I accept.
Okay.
Call me the Wizard of Harlem.
I think we'll close it with that.
And I won't be behind the curtain. You'll be able to see me.
Okay. So
who's that guy behind the curtain?
Yeah. So thank you so much, William, for chopping it up with me and Jordan. This was truly wonderful. And thank you for just coming and spending the day with us.
Wow. You started my day.
Thank you.
And where's your tie, Jordan?
Probably should get a tie. I probably should get a tie.
Thank you, guys. You guys did well. I appreciate this. And all the other candidates going to be really appreciated, too. And so, I was just telling Jordan and some other folks, I think I told you too, Shana, where's the Black media? Where's our Black newspapers? How are we passing communication these days? 10, 15 years ago, you still had the Amsterdam News Bible. You had Big Red, New York Voice, The Beacon. What's going on? Ebony, Jet. You know, there should be a real discussion around Black media and how it empowers the Black community. I'm really concerned about that.